African penguin. The African penguin, also known as the Jackass penguin.
Hello everybody and welcome back to another Cat Stash video. Today we are going to be looking at the African penguin. So the African penguin is the only penguin species that's found in Africa. So it's a pretty unique penguin, which I think is definitely going to put it above the ranking of other penguins. The African penguin is endangered, so its habitat is disappearing. It is, I guess, carnivorous. It mainly eats fish, squids, and crustaceans in the wild, but will eat probably just fish in captivity. They exist in massive colonies of, I think, up to 500. Let's check the number here. Yeah, up to 500 according to the Zoopedia, but from my own research, they do exist in larger groups. They are monogamous creatures. They mate with the same penguin for a very long time. And lastly, with it, they like the rocky coastal beaches of Africa. So in this habitat, you're going to see not really a lot of ice or cold that you would expect with the penguin, but these penguins more prefer the coastal rocky beaches of southern Africa. Fun fact about the African penguins. Fun fact number 1. The African penguin is known as the Jackass penguin.
Okay, so we're calling these African penguins because it lives in Africa. Hey, guess what? No idea!
Apparently, they emit and sound like a donkey and are very loud and annoying. So, yeah, they are the Jackass penguin. And the second fun fact is that they swim about 12 miles an hour. They can dive about to a feet of 98 generally, but they have been recorded at diving as depths as low as 426 feet down. That's pretty deep.
Come on, tell them how deep you are. You'd be lucky if you understand this.
Fun fact number 3. They dig these nest burrows that are made a lot with the feces of seals and seabirds. So their nests are literally crap. Literally speaking.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Let's go. Teach the class. Come on, let's go. Carry on.
I think in the Zoopedia, I think the or in the Game Planet Zoo, I think they messed up a little bit here because those fish look a little bit too big for that penguin. I mean, that one fish is bigger than the penguin itself, so they should probably get smaller fish, not fish that are twice their size. So for the African penguin habitat, the big thing I have is a very deep hole that I filled up with water in the very middle. This allows them to dive, and I have little fish things, and we'll go into that in a second. But other than that, there is some kind of like a sand, kind of like a coastal beach around them, with the edges being more like grass, so it's like transitioning to something so they can, I think it fits what their habitat would be in the real world. Here we have the entrance to the habitat. Here I try to do a little bit something different and include like kind of like a rock, kind of like cave entrance. Not this way, it's not just the habitat, right up, the habitat door right up against it. I think it just adds a little bit extra, like a different structure that I think looks pretty nice. I think this penguin right here was literally just walking up the water. That was strange. Here we have some platforms for them to come up from. They like to swim around, so they have some water platforms. We also have some jetty that's sticking out. I think in one of the earlier footage you could see some of them hanging out there, and there's some toys and food amenities all throughout their habitat. And throughout their habitat, I've just included little kind of like multiple, just like this kayak and this wooden structure and that stone structure over there. Oh, it looks like these guys are fighting. Let's take a look at that. Just spur of the moment, they just got them fighting. Yeah, I just think having these extra things just kind of, changes up from just being like just a desert. I kind of like to have that. You can see that with the trees and plants all throughout their habitat. Kind of the same thing, just along the shore, just trying to make it not just a straight, water to sand, but it is supposed to be a beach type thing. And along the inside of their habitat, I kind of have where the people view, I kind of have these rocks kind of like that, like the platforms lifted up on these rocks. I just think it adds to the scenery of it. Really quickly, this guy's trucking.
Woo! Come on, baby! Get this brother, let's go right now! Woo! Woo! Feel rushed!
So I thought we would just watch him for a little bit. Oh, okay, never mind. He just wanted some food. Here you can see one of the food amenities that they have. This is, I think, a slow feeder, so they can eat out of that. Just kind of placed randomly around the habitat. Here we have their interior habitat where they can go, you know, when it's worse of weather. So they still have something that they can go to, but seeing, you know, I think they would be okay in really cold or warm, so I'm not too concerned, but they do have something to go to. And for the inside, I kind of have these wooden planks running along the bottom and some lighter bluer walls, so it has more of like a, what I feel like more of like a kind of like a sea theme. That's kind of what I was going for, but there are penguins, so maybe just not like white like snow, but like a lighter color. And I think it looks nice on the inside here. And on the walls, what I've done this time is I think it's painted blocks, painted bricks that go along the interior, and I painted those the same kind of like light blue along the whole way. I think it looks nice. And then actually up top, I have these railings that are for aquatic creatures. You know, no one's obviously going to be up there and need those railings, but I think they just kind of look nice to have there. I think it kind of gives it more of a, you know, waterfront type feel. And this obviously is a water type habitat with a species that likes water. And yeah, I've tried to implement some greenery, a lot of palm trees, you know, real beach type theme is kind of what I was going for, but some other things just kind of making it look nice. So yeah, that's the interior of their habitat above water. So now we'll go ahead and look below water. Really quickly, I want to show off this penguin. Most of the penguins are black and white, but this one actually has some white and light brown colors, so it's not, I wouldn't say it's actually, oh, this person's in the way. So I wouldn't exactly say it's albino, but it is a different color variation than the other penguins, so I wanted to show it off because it is unique. So yes, this is their, you can see the penguins diving down. This is their water. It goes down pretty deep. I have some rocks and something like an old ship type thing down here. I have some rock outcroppings. This is a fairly deep part of the water, and I think it looks nice and gives them a nice amount of room to, you know, dive around. You can see at one end there is some windows, and we'll get to that in a minute because there actually is a viewing port that you can go and actually see underwater, but this gives you a nice view of their kind of like underwater habitat. This creature, I would have these walls, the walls of the pit, be covered more in rock. However, the African penguin, at least in the game, really likes sand and lots of it, so I was forced to kind of put a lot of these to be sand, but that's okay. I think it still works. Before we move into the rest of the habitat, we can see here that there's actually these little fish food things at the bottom, so when the penguins jump down into the water, or dive down, you don't jump down, but when you dive down to the water, they can come here and get the fish from that too. And you can see one here, you know, diving down, having a good time. So yeah, he went right through that. So most of the viewing ports for the habitat are just this kind of like collection of buildings right here, and one that obviously goes underground, but we'll go to that in a minute. And I just really quickly want to share that I did have these like kind of like aquatic light posts that go on the corners throughout the top of their exhibit. So if it's night, they have some sort of light, but you know, the exterior is just the rustic part with these metal railings, which I really do like the look of that. So we're going to go ahead and go downstairs to the viewing port and look at that first, and then we'll come back up. You can see I have this concrete block type house thing going on. That's how you get down underneath. So we'll go ahead and walk through that. So the inside has this Arctic wood feel. That's kind of what I was going for. And then you can see the steps down to go to kind of like an ice room. I don't know, that's just the style I went with. And on the back and the side, I've included some seating, some nice wooden structures, and then I did include some extra signs just to make it look more realistic. There's an ice block floor and an ice block ceiling. I know technically this penguin isn't from Antarctica, but I felt I was just going to add it, kind of do an ice theme anyway, because it is a penguin. And that's just what I kind of went with. And here we have the window that views into their interior kind of habitat, their little structure, safety. So you can actually come up here and do that if it's nice weather. But if it's not so nice weather, you can go into that little opening and go into the the above ground interior viewing port. And here we can see there's an educator station along with a window that they can throw food down. And yeah, so this is a nice interior place to get away from the sun. I have this, kind of vertical, almost like pier type wood, which I think goes with the Arctic or with the aquatic feel of the habitat I was going kind of for. And in this section, you can actually, those two windows on the right, you can actually see into their interior habitat, and the two on the left, the one for the feeder goes out into it. And there is an opening so you can hear the penguin braying like a donkey. I did include some stands here so people can sit and listen to the educator. However, there is one problem, is it is kind of really far back, so if someone's sitting there, they likely wouldn't be able to see what's going on. But it might be something I fix in the future, but I'm not going to worry about it right now. And over here we have some seating that goes along that wall, that kind of viewing, and then there's another ramp up to another kind of upper viewing platform. You can also get to it from that other place we were just at. And then this is the other interior kind of viewport. These aren't open air like some of my other exhibits. I still have the one-way glass just so the animal's not stressed out by lots of people looking at it, but you can still view out. Here's some footage of the penguins diving from that underwater viewing port. Now that they're actually going to be underwater, you can see them swim around, so it would be a really good place for guests to go to and watch the penguins swim. So that's pretty much it for the African penguin. Very interesting species, only species of penguin in Africa. If anybody's curious, there's about 48 penguins I have in this exhibit, or in this habitat, but you can have up to 500. However, with Plant Zoo, the more animals you have, it doesn't scale well, and you'll start to see lag. And I think we've started to see it more, especially from when it was just my first video with the aardvark, and now there's an aardvark addicts, African buffalo, and African porcupine. It's really adding to the lag, I think, the more and more animals you put in. One of my favorite things is watching the penguins run. I mean, that's just super fun. I love it. I love seeing it. It's super cute. Yeah, so that was pretty much it. As for a rating, it's a very interesting species of penguin. It doesn't live in Antarctica. It lives in Africa. I think that's worth saying something. Penguins are just super cute when they're running. I definitely think that's a big thing. I really do like the animal. The only downside is you are going to have to include water, and you're going to need like a water regulator, and it just requires more maintenance. And it requires a bit more structure, so the habitat can definitely look a lot better, but it's going to require a bit more work to create. That being said, so far, I think it is the most different of all the animals I've done. It's still in Africa, but it's more of an aquatic thing. I might go back on this, but I really like watching these guys run around, swim. I think I'm going to give them an A tier. I think they're an A tier animal. So hope you guys enjoyed my video of the African penguin looking at the habitat. Let me know what you think, if you want to see more about this animal, or if you think it should have been placed somewhere else in the rating. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all that notification good stuff, and I'll see you next time.